Stream coverage. 2 days left in the championship tonight, tomorrow. Busch Series Racing, Arizona Travel 200 for tonight's Phoenix International Raceway race. And for this race, it'll be 200 laps, 200 miles, one of the shorter races of the season. Used to Phoenix being taking place in the nighttime for their fall races for the Xfinity Series, so I automatically assumed this was going to be another night race like we had in the spring. Not the case, obviously. It was a day race. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They always used to run day races here back in the past. But yeah, here we go for this one. Can't wait. We are starting on the pole. Made some minor adjustments post-qualifying. I felt like the car is a little too tight. So if I do end up getting back in traffic, which I don't expect to be for a large majority of the race, but, you know, weird cautions can fall which way, and we may get shuffled out of the lead. Want to make sure we at least got the handling in traffic, and obviously we'll have lap traffic, I'm sure, throughout the course of this race as well, unless we see a bunch of cautions. But in that case, again, the likelihood of actually holding on to the lead the whole way with a bunch of cautions, a lot slimmer as well. Tony Stewart qualified second. He comes into this race 20 points out of first. It's just a two-race championship with these two drivers, Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart. Our driver, obviously, is Clint Boyer. As I mentioned already, qualified on the pole. I did not practice, but we did dominate the Phoenix Spring Race earlier in the season. Looking back on the notes side of things, we won the race. We only led 46 laps, but we did win the race. That's all that matters. Hopefully we don't have a fuel glitch in this one. Things could go smoothly. Had a comeback win at Texas. Things were not going smoothly for a large majority of that race post first pit stop. And we ended up getting a lucky caution with about 50 laps to go. Got us back in it. We were basically staying out as long as we could to try to leapfrog track position. It's exactly what was able to happen. We took the fresh tires and we were able to march to the lead. Took till the second to last lap of the race to get to the lead after not leading for almost 150 laps prior to that. We were back as far as 15th in the running order, while Tony Stewart was leading nonetheless. Cycled up to second during green flag action before a caution came out. Stewart, unfortunately, was also on the lead lap, so he still got a good finish. I think he ended up 4th or 5th, if I remember correctly. But again, a 20-point lead, and that's even with him leading the most laps in that race, so that win was huge. We didn't win that race, passing Matt Kenseth on the second to last lap and holding on the white flag lap side by side through 3 and 4. It got the run off turn 4 to beat him back to the line. We would only have a 10-point lead, so it was crucial to get that win, and it's also crucial here tonight to have a solid, clean day. Let's see if we can do it. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Green flag is in the air. And this first lap is going to be huge right off the rip. Who's going to get the launch? Boyer gets a little tight, didn't lift. Through 1 and 2. I probably should have lifted. I didn't realize I was going to have to brake. Kind of used Stewart as our brakes, bounced off of him. We're going to get the lead. And Clint Boyer leads lap 1, hopefully of many. Got to have a solid day. I don't want to say it's a must win, but when you only have a 20-point lead, it takes a lot more pressure off at Homestead if we don't have the car, because again, those intermediate tracks are very hit or miss for me on the season. We haven't raced at Homestead on this season either, so zero clue how we're going to do there. I mean, I won the first Texas race, but then when we went to Texas the other day, I probably had a top 5 car, but I didn't have a race winning car. About the 3rd, 4th fastest car throughout the whole race. So it was a little weird, but this right here at Phoenix, one of my best tracks. Phoenix, New Hampshire, Richmond, those are my 3 best, and we actually didn't win New Hampshire. We finished 2nd in that one on this Busch Series season. So we didn't really take advantage of that, but we did dominate both Richmond races. And although we didn't dominate the spring Phoenix race, we still won it. Gotta do what we can. And Tony Stewart obviously fell back on that initial start after the contact. I don't think he got down to the bottom of the track until he fell to 4th or 5th. Hopefully he stays there for our sake. Looks like he's back in 5th, I believe. Got Elliott Sadler, Kenny Wallace, Ryan Newman in front of him, and obviously Clint Boyer leads these first 4 laps under green. Wade and Matthew Dorter Bruno, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the first on the chat down below. Rob Bank, yeah, I got my... Well, it's not a ski mask, but it's a stocking hat. I wear black a lot. Actually, to double down on it, when I went grocery shopping earlier, I had my leather jacket on, too, so... I was all decked out in black. May have intimidated one of the workers. Actually, I had to get new work shoes earlier today. I think the lady working at the shoe store, I think I scared her a little bit. She seemed the happiest when I was walking out of there. Like after the checkout, then I finally got a have a nice day. It's like, oh good, he's gone. In all seriousness, I didn't cause any harm. Didn't mean to. My wardrobe today happened to strike fear in anybody. I apologize sincerely. Get a new phone. My phone's pretty old. I've had this, well, no, it's not. It acts old, I should say. I've had it for a little over 2 years. About 2.5. I've had an issue with it for quite some time where I'll get 5G connection, but if there is 5G, even if it's full reception, for some reason nothing loads on my phone internet-wise. But if it's on 4G with like 1 bar, I still get like perfectly fine connection. But whenever the 5G's on, for some reason, there's no way for me, or at least that I know, to try to just shut it off. My parents have the same phone that I do, and they're like, yeah, I don't have any issues with that they know of. So it's probably just a my phone thing. But I've been dealing with it I've probably been dealing with it for over a year. I might have been dealing with it since I had it, to be completely honest. It's happened for so long that it's commonality at this point. I expect it. It sucks though when I'm like listening to music in my car and I'll go through an area where it's like 5G full connection and nothing loads music-wise for me for like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, come on. What's going on here? 1 pit stop race? I would probably say it's going to be a 2-stopper. I mean, it could be 1 stop. I mean, if it is 1 stop for us, it'll probably make things more interesting from the fuel side of things, knowing that we have to make sure we get to 1 stop. We'll use our field strategy, or field passes wisely. Definitely got good speed in this thing, though. We're pulling away right off the rip. Not like we're pulling away in the New Hampshire modified race that we ended up having yesterday afternoon. Like that race, I dominated. I lapped the whole field, 100 laps, no cautions. It's not like that. I mean, it took us 10 laps or so to get out to a 1-second lead. So we're about a 10th quicker a lap, if you do the math there. It's not much. And that's with Elliott Sadler in second. If we get somebody else in second, curious to find out if they end up closing in at all. Billy Kramer and Ethan Chua, thanks for tuning in also. Got new earbuds. There you go. Noise cancellation. I don't have any. I don't really have the need to. A couple years ago, I already told you guys a while back, but I like bought all my own gym equipment, so I haven't been to a public gym and it's been a while. Well, I've gone a couple times when I've gone to like NASCAR races and I know I'm not able to work out for like 3 to 5 days or whatever, and I'm not gonna just not work out the whole time. So there's been like 2 or 3 times I've worked out in the hotel gym. There was one I stayed in St. Louis when I went to Gateway a couple years ago. I forget what hotel that was. It was a really nice hotel, though. It was one of the chain places. It was like no, it wasn't a Hyatt. I don't know what it was, a Hampton Inn or something. But they had like a legitimate gym in there. It was one of the airport hotels. I think it was a Hampton Inn. I think that's the first time I've stayed in one. I don't know if they're all like that. Maybe all Hampton Inns are like that. If that's the case, I need to start staying in Hampton Inns more often. That one was ridiculously cheap for some reason. I think it was because it was like an airport, and it was away from the track a little bit, but I didn't mind driving like 25, 30 minutes to get to the track the next day. I don't need to be like right there. But yeah, it was like a full gym in that place. I'm like, if I had this every single place, like I might go back to Gateway just for that reason, just so I can go back to that hotel because I can look up my purchase history through what app do I use? No, I don't. Not Booking.com. What's the other one? Not Travelocity. Actually, you know what? I think it is Booking.com now that I think about it. I get like rewards points because I've gone to so many races and stuff. It's like if I go to, there's like tiers to it. So it's like if I travel and purchase like a hotel, like say a dozen times a year, I get a free night stay that next time or something like that. And I get percentage off pretty much every single time I book. I think it is Booking.com. I have the app though. I haven't used it obviously in a while because I only went to one race last year, so I'm not entirely sure. And that was close enough to home that I didn't get a hotel. Temu? Yeah, I've never even heard of that, honestly. It's like Amazon. I've never heard of it. I mean, you can get some cheap things on Amazon. I think where they really get you there is like when you have to pay for shipping and handling. Obviously, if you have Prime, that's free, but then you're still paying for the membership. So either way, you're still paying money for that. That's really the only spot they get you in because most of my clothes I get are from Amazon. Like, I know the sizes I wear. Worst case scenario, I just go to UPS and return it. Ship it back. Like, a shirt fit me a little too loose around the collar. I didn't like it. So I sent it back. But it's no big issue. Blues fired their coach. Oof. That's tough this early in the season. Anytime you have a mid-season firing, it's never good. I knew that they were struggling out of the gate this year. I haven't watched any Blues games, but I check the standings every so often just to see how the Red Wings are ranking and the teams around them and stuff, but I've seen them towards the bottom. I mean, they've been towards the bottom really ever since they won the Stanley Cup. Like that Stanley Cup, what was that, 2019 or 2020? One of those 2 years when they won it? I don't really remember. Honestly, like the last 6, 7 years or so are kind of a blur to me with the Stanley Cup playoffs just because the Red Wings haven't been in, so I haven't watched as much playoff hockey the last several years. Like everything from like the COVID year on is very much a blur for me, and it's kind of the same with the NBA. Ever since the Pistons traded away Andre Drummond, Derrick Rose, and Blake Griffin after they made the playoffs the one season, like the next season onward, like everything's been a blur for me for the NBA. 2019, okay. I knew it was somewhere around there. It's like it's hard to watch when your favorite team isn't there. Or I've had a lot of times where like I'll be watching playoff football and the Packers lose like a divisional game and there's another game on right after. I don't even want to watch it. It's like I'm sick to my stomach. There was a couple of NFC Championship games they lost, and they always seem to play the early game when it's the NFC title game whenever they've gotten in. And they'll lose, and then the AFC title game's on afterwards. I'm like, I don't even want to watch it. Especially that one year when they were up by 2 touchdowns on Seattle, and they got the onside kick, and then Seattle scored again at the end of the game. Then they scored in overtime and won. That year made me sick. Couldn't believe what I was watching. Ryan Bostic. Cleveland 17-1 right now. I only know how good they're doing because there's a lot of Cleveland fans, obviously, at my work with living in Ohio. And there's somebody I work with that I talk to semi-regularly that's a big Cleveland sports fan. So that I am aware of, but outside of that, I haven't watched any games, obviously, at all this year. I still keep up with the Pistons in the sense of, where they are in the standings. Obviously, last year, not so much. It was comically bad. Doing better out of the gate this year, I will say, though. Seems like the East is wide open. Maybe they make a random playoff run just to get swept in the first round by, like, Boston or Cleveland or something. .816, fastest lap of the race. Yeah, these flatter, bigger tracks like this, the Richmond, the 1 mile tracks, New Hampshire, Phoenix. I give myself not a lot of downforce because I like to have the top end speed on the straightaways, but enough that I can grip up to have a low exit, be aggressive with my line, and I'm basically just taking the shortest way around the racetrack with having grip and running, as fast as I can still without pushing wide. And every now and then, kind of like right there, I'm not hooking the bottom just because I carry a little too much speed on corner entry because I'm entering in lower, but we've got the speed to make up for it. It didn't really work out this well for me in the other EA games, though. But for some reason, I've found out in this game, I almost wonder if I go back to, those other EA games, if I can get away with doing the same thing. I don't know how I stumbled across figuring this out. It might make the races more boring from the viewer standpoint, but it's nice to have a couple of gimme races in the season where I know I'm just going to be quick no matter what kind of equipment I'm in. Yeah, the Raptors and the Wizards are this year's Pistons. They're still not even that bad, though. Wasn't Detroit 2-31 or something before they won their third game? Because they started 2-1, and then that's when they ended up losing 27 or whatever, however many games in a row they lost after that. Well, if we get to lap 50 before getting to the halfway out of gas mark, then obviously we can make this race on one stop. Schumacher's cost me the Construction Championship F1 2020. Tough scenes. Last year they were 2-4. Well, yeah, they were way worse than 2-14. I mean, they basically lost the next 14 games after that too. So I'm not a basketball fan. Well, it's crazy though because they were so good through the 2000s. My early years of watching basketball, they were great. That team with Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton and Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince. I mean, there's a reason they won the NBA Finals in 2004. Well, they went to back-to-back because they won in 2004 and then they lost to the Spurs in 2005 in the finals. But even after that, I think they went to 4 straight Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think the next 2 years after that, they made it to the Conference Finals, 2006, 2007. Then LeBron started dominating the East. It was LeBron and Boston. Like every year was one of those two teams in. And then LeBron going to, well, yeah, it was LeBron in Cleveland the one year, then it was Boston, and then it was LeBron in Miami for like 4 straight years. And at that point, Detroit was on the heavy decline. But yeah, no, they were really good. I mean, I played basketball growing up and into high school and stuff, so I would love to get back into it and watch it if the team I was watching is competitive. Which, honestly, maybe I'll have to tune in more this year just because they're playing better out of the gate. I mean, it's still not good. It's still sub-500 basketball, but like I said, the East is so wide open, maybe they can get into the playoffs. Green Bay game was boring yesterday, only for 49er fans. And maybe a typical, sports fan that's wanting to watch a good game, close game. Not going to get that every week. Not boring for Packer fans, though, I'll say that much. I like blowout wins as long as it's not your team that's getting blown out. Carefree, stress-free Sunday of football. I'm all for it. I mean, that's like saying that the Lions and Colts game was unentertaining yesterday, too, because the Lions won, what was it, like 24-6 or something like that? I don't know what the final score of that game was. I stopped watching after a while, but it was getting one-sided. But, I mean, I don't consider that. I just take it for what it is, and it just happens. Like, not every game has to be down to the last minute. I mean, there's a reason why those games are entertaining to watch because it doesn't happen all the time. This isn't the NASCAR playoffs. Yeah, I was telling my sister yesterday, I was like, all right, the 4 teams in the NFC, and mark my words, on November, whatever yesterday was, 24th, 4 teams in the NFC that are going to make it to the divisional round are going to be the Lions. No particular order, but I would imagine the Lions will be the 1 seed. And then you can kind of flip-flop the Vikings and Packers, but I think they're going to be the away teams getting the wild card games in that round. And then, who else did I say? Philadelphia. I do think Detroit's the best team in the NFC. I mean, I've thought that for a while now, but the only team who I think could give them a run is Philadelphia, just because they do have a lot of guys that have been in multiple playoffs, obviously a deep playoff run before, but then you look at Detroit obviously making a deep run last year, and I think that definitely helps them coaching side of things for this year, that they have been there. Philly's just been to the Super Bowl. They've won a Super Bowl in recent years, couple of them. So there are people around that organization that could get an upper hand on Detroit. Detroit having the home field advantage could be huge, though, too. I expect Detroit to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Like, that's my prediction. But those are my 4, though. Minnesota, you can kind of... They're probably the least confident of those 4 for me. It's because I don't know exactly what a playoff scenario would look like. You know, as banged up at quarterback as they are. Well, I mean, losing J.J. McCarthy early in the year, but outside of that, I should say banged up at quarterback, but having a guy that doesn't really have any playoff experience at quarterback. And I will say they don't look as good now as they did at the start of the season when they were like 4-0, 5-0. They've won a few in a row again, but they gave up a big lead to the Bears yesterday. I think the week before that, they only put up 12 points and won. Winning kind of ugly games. It was against Tennessee, I think, if I remember correctly. It was against a not-so-good team. Yeah. Yeah, I got the Chiefs and Bills in the AFC Championship as well, assuming that, you know, they get the 1 and the 2 seed. That the only way they would meet up in the playoffs would be the AFC Championship, but I think they meet up again in the playoffs at the very least. And that's a coin flip. Even though I think Buffalo's the better team, it's just... I learned my lesson, you know, kind of earlier in the year last year. I think it was the divisional game against the Ravens, if I remember correctly. No, they played the Ravens in the AFC title game. It was Buffalo. Yeah. Because I took Buffalo to knock KC out of the playoffs last year because they were at home. And I'm like, well, I'm done, you know, doubting Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs. I mean, it's basically Brady all over again in the sense that you just can't count them out even when they don't look like the best team. So that's my theory on the Chiefs. I'm never going to count them out of a game ever again. Lions, Bears. Well, I mean, obviously it's Detroit. I mean, Detroit's going to be the favorite to win every game the rest of this season, for me, just because I think that they're the best team in the league. So, I'm going to say Detroit every week. I don't care who they're playing. They're going to be the favorite for me every week. Getting close to lap traffic. .53 green flag laps to start the race. In the set, like, I just picked Buffalo because I thought that they were the favorite for that game, but it's going to be a lot more 50-50 for me going forward ever since then. That's kind of why, because even that next week in the AFC title game, and I'm like, well, I think the Ravens are the better team, but at that time, I'm not going to doubt the Chiefs anymore. Sure enough, the Chiefs end up going on to win the Super Bowl, and that's kind of been the case this year. It's like they've been 9-0, and they don't look like the best team, or they finally lose that first game. I mean, even yesterday, like they were whooping on the Panthers, and then just let them back in the game, and it took a last-second field goal to beat one of the worst teams in the league. Like that doesn't scream best team in the league to me, but they still find a way to win games. I think there was a stat when I was watching that game yesterday, too, that was like, they've had, well, that would have been like the 5th game that was won in the final minute for KC this season. They've scored in the final minute of the game to take the lead, whether that be like breaking a tie or was down and took the lead. That's insane. That's half of their wins have come in the last minute. Giving their fans heart attacks every single week, but still pulling through, except for against Buffalo. A slow car down to the bottom of the racetrack. 126 cars blowing a motor. So they continue to stay green. You're going to try to get to pit road. As Boyer catches lap traffic for the first time, looks to the inside through 3 and 4. Can't quite clear off the exit of the corner. 4.5-second lead for the two. Trying to put together a dominating performance. Obviously leading every lap. Want to try to stay out of the pits as long as we can for when that time comes, so we don't allow for Stewart if he happens to be in second place now, because we don't know where anybody's at on the leaderboard. I can't wait till NASCAR 08, so that way we have the opportunity to know where everybody's at all times. Be huge for strategy. Contact. He's trying to squeeze in there 3 wide. He was trying to in the dog leg and it didn't work, and he almost tried there in 3 and 4. 5-second lead. His nickname is Ribs. That's an interesting nickname. McRibs back at McDonald's. The annual, that's how you know it's holiday season right there when the McRibs back. It's like, oh, yep, Christmas is in full gear now. It's like it ain't Christmas until the McRibs back at McDonald's. Something very underrated at McDonald's, which I haven't had since I worked there, because that was about the last time I had eaten sweets since cutting it out of my diet. Their milkshakes. When their ice cream machine actually works, their milkshakes are pretty solid. .698 that last lap. It was like a year into me working there before I even realized they had milkshakes. So, do you guys have milkshakes? No idea. By the way, I work back in the grill. I didn't work up front at the front desk, so I'm not looking at the menu all day, every day. I know what I'm making. Everything else, no idea what's on the menu. If it ain't kitchen related. Well, we are definitely going to have to pit 2 times in this race. I'd imagine we're going to have to pit somewhere around lap 80. Give or take some laps into there. Three wide and tight. A little contact with the 112 car. I was trying to keep it off of him, but there wasn't a lot of room. Definitely have a lot more room to try to run 3 wide at new Phoenix. This old Phoenix, not so much. A bump and run on the 131 car. Give him the old chrome horn. Jimmy Johnson that we're trying to put a lap down currently. Charging entry to turns 3 and 4, looking to the inside of the 48 car. Pass made through turns 1 and 2. I would have stayed committed to the throttle in the center of the corner that time, I might have had a better run on him into one. I think I'm still going to get him anyway. Oh, man, there was trouble in the last lap. Turns 1 and 2, a lot of smoke and some tire marks going up to the wall. Didn't catch a caution for it. So we do continue to stay green. We are getting close to pit stop number 1 in this race. 70 laps led for Clint Boyer. Paul Menard losing a lap. It's going to be interesting if I'm the first car to pit road, if I'm actually going to stay in the lead lap. I don't know if my lead's quite big enough yet. .2 seconds. It'll be close. That's a pretty long pit road here at Phoenix. Not as long as it is now, though. That might be the difference maker. I think this design of the track, the lap times are quicker nowadays than what it was at this time, too. I'm assuming. How much more narrow the track is, you're probably applying more brakes. Obviously not taking the shortcut in the dog leg. Both of the front tires are wearing out a little bit. Eight-second advantage. I'll definitely be able to make it to lap 80 before we pit. Oh, the McRib's not back till Tuesday. Well, that's tomorrow. Oh, next Tuesday. Well, I guess not back yet. Well, that's okay. I don't consider it Christmas season anyway until after Thanksgiving. I get on my sister for that every year. Wanting to put the Christmas tree up at the start of November, like basically right after Halloween. And I say it doesn't go up. You got to wait until Black Friday. Maybe Thanksgiving night. Like, especially if you're out somewhere and then you get home. Thanksgiving night, I can give you that. But you can't put the Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving. That's just not right. Moving things along way too quickly. All right, lap 80. Let's start a lap to hit pit road. And we will be making our first of 2 pit stops in the race. It'll be a 4-tire stop. No adjustments. We're going to have to give up the lead at least for a little bit. Slid the tires a little bit trying to get to pit road, but we did get down to pit road speed. All good there. Put up the tree after the Thanksgiving meal. You're a good man. Yeah, after the meal, I'm all right with that. That's as early as it goes up, though. Just a big enough lead to stay in the lead lap with pitting. Elliott Sadler, who now takes over the race lead, with Boyer being the first to pit road. And I think we are the last car on the lead lap, so it was just enough. So about 8.2, 8.3 second lead was just big enough. I think more than 9 seconds we would have been a lap down. So if we catch a caution, we'll be in an all right spot. Well, now we just got to wait and see when they pit. That would suck if they're able to go one stop and we have to pit one more time yet, too. We're going to have to make up 34 positions in almost a full lap. Good news is we've led for 79 laps today, maybe 80. I don't know if I crossed the start-finish line before Sadler took the lead when I was on pit road, but 79 to 80 laps led. So it's going to take a lot for him to have to lead to get to the most laps led. And obviously we're attacking on these 4 fresh tires now. We'll bump and run just in case they can make it on one pit stop. We've got to push it with a championship hanging in the balance. Not going to clinch it tonight, but in the case that we go into the finale, we got to make sure we're still the points leader going into Homestead. Control our own destiny. Take it back the points lead at Texas in the last race. Allowed us to be able to get back on that. Yep. 6 spots gained already since pitting. I didn't see interval-wise exactly how far back. It was like 27 seconds. That was 24. I picked up 3 seconds in 6 laps, or half a second quicker a lap on about 80 lap fresher tires than Elliott Sadler. That is a huge difference. More laps we go, it's not going to be a half a second the entire time. Although it might be until they pit, I guess. I don't expect it to be too much longer. I mean, they may make it on one stop. Well, never mind on that. Contact 3 wide up to 25th. We had some cars pitting that last time. Pitting at lap 87, you're not going to be able to make it on one stop. So our 8.2 second lead is going to be even larger. Kevin Harvick on pit road. A lot of cars on pit road. Elliott Sadler still out there. Stayed out again. He's getting to lap 90. He's led for about 10 laps. And there goes Jeff Burton, our teammate, our other one, here at RCR. But up to fifth, Elliott Sadler still has a pit. Hoping Tony Stewart doesn't cycle in front of him. .668 fastest of the race that last time. A few hundreds quicker than the original fastest lap. It was, I think, a 6.9. All right. Is he going to be able to stretch it that far? Elliott Sadler is the only car in front of us that has not pitted yet. I think he's trying to stretch it. I mean, why else would he be the last car to hit pit road? And G.G. Ely's not giving that Boyer a lot of room there. Boyer going to have to move him out of the way to make the pass. About 17 seconds behind Sadler. We've made up 10 seconds on him. He's still going. Lap 95. It was 6 to 7 tenths quicker that last lap. He's still going. 27.632. Yeah, he's on his way, finally. It took him 96 laps before he pitted. So he should be about 8 laps short on fuel by our calculations. So I don't think he's going to make it, but he's going to be stretching it late in the race. He'll give it a go. Yeah, if he does try to stretch it, I mean, at least I know we're going to be ahead of Stewart because everybody else is pitted well before Sadler. If I end up second, I end up second. So now I got the slight tire disadvantage. These lappers, so they're probably going to be harder to pass now than they were before. A little contact with the bump and run to get by the 135, or at least get under him. We'll clear him in the next corner. Caution-free still at Phoenix. We've had 3 caution-free races on this Busch Series season so far. This would be the 4th. It's been a little bit since the last one. But halfway this time by. Honestly, him going as far as he did on fuel, I don't even know that Elliott Sadler's in second anymore. Spent a lot of time compared to the rest of the field on those older tires. Well, I mean, caution-free at Phoenix makes our life easier. If he gets 2 cautions, he could make it that way. There'd be enough laps for him. A 20-second lead. Still have to take both of our field passes yet. But by far the largest lead of the race. Not counting, obviously, Sadler's lead during green flag pit stops. Those are the only laps of this race I haven't led, by the way, where all the laps Sadler led in the midst of green flag stops, about 16 to 17 of them. So, obviously, we're going to end up clinching the most laps led here fairly soon. Probably within 20 laps, easily, we'll clinch the most laps led. More smoke in turn 1. No caution. Still, that's the second time we've seen that. With no yellow either time. Oh boy. Pretty wide under John Andretti. Reed Sorensen, boy, are forcing his way underneath. Let's take our first field pass at the start-finish line here. We'll swap back to Kevin Harvick in the 29 car first. And he is a lap down in 17th. I think he's ahead of where Burton's at in the running order. Story time. I've told a lot of stories. I just basically, anything I can relate to from what I see in the chat, I kind of go about my stories at that time. You got more smoke in turn 1. There's going to be a caution, I think, for the end of this race. That's the third time we've seen that, and that's the second time we've seen it in the last several laps. Somebody's pounding that wall down, and it might be a debris caution at this point. There's some cars out here with damage. Yeah, Burton a couple spots behind where Harvick's at, 20th. Exactly for this 21 car. A cigarette. Talk about the smoke. Not that kind of smoke. Not the Tony Stewart smoke either. Drive up to 18, past Kurt Busch the last lap. Gonna get by Greg Biffle this lap. All right.
Okay, buddy, let's do it. The 135 car is looking to pass. Number 121, outside. Still hanging on.
Man, that guy's giving me no room. I didn't want to have to hit the curb through the dog leg, but it wasn't giving me any room to make that corner either. I'm glad I didn't bounce off of it and like wreck myself or something stupid like that. Yeah, I mean, this would definitely be huge if Tony Stewart doesn't lead a lap this entire race. He hasn't so far. It's been all Boyer and Sadler up to this point in the race. Swap up to Jeff Burton. Just getting our field passes done with now. And my goal is going to be to go as far as I can on fuel before pitting, because I don't know if Tony Stewart's in second now with Sadler staying out of the pits as long as he did. I'm more determined on making sure he doesn't lead a lap and finishing ahead of Stewart. You know, for some reason, Elliott Sadler saves enough gas and makes it to the end. I don't think he will, but if he does and beats us in the race, I'm all right with that. We just need to beat the 33. When we have the points lead, that's all that matters now. We went for broke for the win at Texas, got it. Now we're just sitting on the lead. We just got to beat him. We don't have to beat the other 42. Gained a spot for a set, I think that was, that Jeff Burt was catching. Denny Hamlin right here as well. This will probably be for 15th then for the 29. Maybe he'll get into the top 10 by the end of the race. I'm not sure where he started, but he is picking up some time. And it's possible we can get to 20 wins on the season. That would be insane. Win these last 3 races. Texas. Last race. We got Phoenix in this one. Homestead to finish. 80 laps to go this time by most laps led for Clint Boyer in the 2 car. -19-second lead. It shrunk down a bit. It was about 20 and a half. It's the difference in tires. Another reason to stay out, just in case we were to catch a caution. Catch a caution, I'd rather just pit under the yellow. We're in our window. Definitely in the fuel window to make it to the end now. Slow car bottom of the track. Oh man! Big checkup by the 187. I thought he was just going to drive by to the outside. I mean, I saw the 2 cars in front of him just drive to the outside, so I didn't think he would do any different. He brake checked right in front of us. I don't know how hurt that right front is. I hit him hard. I took a glance at the damage indicator when it popped up on the right-hand corner of the screen, and I didn't notice anything in the red. I don't think we'll have to pit here. Leads down to 17 seconds now. Now he's upset with me, too. Like, what was he checking up for? All he had to do is... I mean, the two cars in front of him just drove by to the outside nonchalantly. And then he ended up... decided to just brake check right in the middle of that upper lane. I couldn't go to the bottom, obviously, because the lap car blowing up was there. Halfway out of gas. You go a little bit past lap 160, but definitely gonna have to pit before the finish. Well, we're still green. Even when you're leading by 17 seconds, man, I'll tell you what, if something like that happens, you just never know. I mean, all I can do is keep my eyes peeled and do what I can, but it happens so fast. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to just go caution speed at pure randomness right in front of me. Now I know if we catch another car in the dog leg again, not to do normal things, I guess. I'm going to have to give up time better than slamming into the guy in front of me. Even if he is to go on normally like the other two cars did, I can't expect that anymore. Not here, at least. Now that he's a rival, he's just going to be blocking the heck out of me. We'll probably have to boot him out of the way to get this way ahead of him. I mean, he's probably already going to try to hit us when we get underneath him. Don't do it. All right, we're clear. If he just sends me in this next corner, just Matt Kenseth's me. Freaking Jeff Gordon on Clint Boyer. Phoenix. Daniel Quinn Jr. doing the same thing. $70 to go. Why do I play with rubber ducks in the bath? Maybe it's fun. Call me Ernie. Didn't he used to play with rubber duckies from Sesame Street? Honestly, considering we'll have more laps, obviously, to the end of the race than what we had to get to the halfway mark, pitting around lap 160, we'll probably be able to go a little further. I think I've made up a little bit more fuel in this run with doing those field passes. So anytime after lap 160, when I end up coming to pit road, though, we'll have probably over 30 laps to try to run down Sadler, whatever kind of a lead he'll have. We'll have the fresher tire advantage by, at that time, more than 60 laps. Even if he tried to stretch it on fuel, we might actually still catch him. Gonna have to get through traffic cleanly, which has kind of been hit or miss, really. For the most part, it's been pretty good, but I feel like this run I've had a harder time. Seems like they're crowding me a lot more now that we're in the second half of the race or something. Pinpoint or tell you what it is exactly, but they're definitely racing me harder now than they were earlier. So now Todd Cleaver's not giving us a lot of room. Oh, man, a lot of smoke. That time is off turn 4. That's the first I've seen it on that end of the track. We saw smoke streams in 1 and 2 a few times earlier in the race. That's the first time we've seen it in turn 4. Still no caution. Maybe it's from lead lap cars trying to pass lap cars and they're crowding them like we've been getting crowded. Get hooked in the right rear. So they're just hanging there. It's still the same smoke from before. That angle of those skid marks. That looks like a nasty crash. Look at all of them in turns 1. There's like 3 sets of them in 1 and 2. I mean, granted, I guess we've seen it 3 times down there. I didn't notice that until just now, though. Like, there's the ones in 3 and 4. Just watch it 1 and 2. There's like a ton of skid marks from the middle of the track up. Hey, look at that. They're all over. It's almost that whole half of the corners, just nothing but skid marks. We still got 60 to go. There might be more where that came from. I think they disappear once you go under caution. We just haven't had a yellow yet. I'm glad I haven't had to check up for seeing any of it. Knock on wood. Get by Paul Menard. Second lap, he'll lose. 27.598, fastest lap of the race. Getting down into the 27.5s. Good run. Rookie mode races are easy. This feels like it's on rookie mode today. Pure domination. Big bounce off the curb. I didn't check up, but I made the right evasive maneuver to get to the inside. That curb launched that 112 car. It's definitely as thick of lap traffic as we've been in all day. Rack Avenue, thanks for tuning in. Driving as Clint Boyer. prefer if I did rookie mode. You just want to make it easy. That will not be entertaining. I will win every single race. Like there's zero chance I lose a race if I was racing a rookie. I don't know what it would take for me to not. I mean, maybe it's like I started at the back and then got in a wreck or something trying to drive through the field because they're so much slower than I am. And then a DNF. Like, that would be the only way I can think of not winning a race on rookie mode. That's why I have 18 wins. Yeah, I'm actually on legend difficulty. There's no consistency. There's a reason why I have 18 wins and we're only 20 points ahead of Tony Stewart, who only has 2 wins. He has been very consistent. I mean, obviously I've been consistent enough because of those wins. That's why I'm in the points lead, but we've had some very good races. We've had some very bad races. This track is just one of my better ones on this game. We happen to be here at the end of the season. Actually, I see Elliott Sadler up here. We're about to lap him. Aaron Crocker. Crowding Clint Boyers. He's, she's trying to get by. Yeah, Sadler's not in second anymore because we've got a 20-second lead, so I figured he lost second place. We haven't lapped Tony Stewart yet, so he's definitely up there in the running order. Again, contact with Aaron Crocker. I'm telling you, these lap cars are not giving me room. That's as dangerous a contact as I've had this entire time in the little bit I have made contact with other cars, but that scared me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Started going up the track there. I didn't think I was going to be able to steer clear of the wall. Luckily, we became unconnected from each other before we got to the wall. Sadler trying to save fuel. Maybe win the race on fuel mileage. Will lose his lap for now. He's hoping maybe it stays green, at least long enough to cycle back to the lead. Almost a 21-second lead. We came off of pit row with about a 20.3-second lead, so these roughly 15 to 20 lap older tires we have on the rest of the field here, we're barely making up any of that time back. And we had about an 8.2, 8.3 second lead when we pitted the first time, but because we pitted, like I mentioned, 15, 20 laps before everybody, threw that lead out by another 12, 13 seconds with the fresher tires we had at the time. And we're fast enough that we're not losing that time. And honestly, you get this far into the run, 15, 20 laps, now that we're 70 laps on these tires, they've evened out at this point. .526. Fastest lap of the race again. Still putting our fastest laps together. I feel like I'm taking care of my tires way more this run than I did earlier in the race. See what I mean, though? They're not giving me a lot of room. I'm at least expecting it now. I'm trying to go as low as I can without going in the grass. I'm losing traction control or something. I'm also hoping that when I hook the curb and the dog leg, it doesn't throw me up the track. 27.459. Wow. Like a tenth quicker than the fastest lap. And lighter fuel load, and the tires are still holding on better on this run than they did the first run. Put some very good laps together. We're probably around 10 laps away from having to pit for the second and final time. And now the right front's finally starting to go on us a little. Left front will be soon, assuming it's the same as the run before this. 1/8 of a tank of gas left in the fuel tank itself. Quite hooked the bottom as well there through 3 and 4. Car still got speed though. 22-second advantage, largest lead of the race and slightly growing still. Tony Stewart's still on the lead lap. Another reason I don't want to catch a caution because that's going to lock him into an automatic however many cars we have on the lead lap, which isn't many. Assuming I pit earlier than everybody else again, there's a chance I lap the field if everybody does have to pit one more time for the end of the race. Because, I mean, we grew out about a 12-second lead the first time, and we're only about 5-6 seconds ahead of us is where the second place car's at. Really hoping Tony Stewart doesn't lead. Call me crazy because we don't know Tony Stewart and where he's at. He could be in second. I'm thinking of going fuel only just to make sure that I still come out with the lead. I hate to give up bonus points. Because, again, we don't know how we're going to run at Homestead. We have not ran there the whole season. And the 1.5 mile tracks are very hit or miss. It's definitely not going to be like this where I'm just pulling away the whole race. I can almost guarantee that's not going to happen again. Because, you know, worst case scenario, we catch a caution, then I can just pit for tires anyway. We cycle through, we'll definitely be a whole lap ahead of everyone. So I'm thinking about doing that, honestly. Oh, we have such a big lead, it's not going to... Obviously, it stays green to the end, we'll be perfectly fine. It's a slight swing for the fences from the strategy standpoint, but I like it. I know the tires will hold up another 40 laps. A 120 lap run on these tires. I'm going to pit at lap 163, by the way, as well. So right at 38, coming on 37 laps to go, we'll make our second stop. It'll be the final one if we don't catch a caution, which again, so far, caution-free. Ted had a few caution-free races on the season. Again, this would be the 4th if there is no yellow. Brian Berwick, thanks for tuning in. Boyer on his way in. And it will be a fuel-only stop. So don't want to hurt the tires. That was way better than even the first pit road entry. And we don't need a full tank either. We can probably get away with a half a tank, honestly. Yeah, I'll just go half a tank. A little splash and go. Still be about 3 laps or so to the good on fuel to the end. Again, if we catch a caution, I just pit for tires then. This is just so Tony Stewart doesn't lead a lap if he's in second. He might not be in second. I just saw him pass us. Oh, and we're going to lose the lead anyway. I thought for sure we had a big enough lead doing that. Wow. Still came out in third. So Tony Stewart's going to lead unless Busch passes him. He was right on his back bumper entering 3, but I think he's still behind him. Tony Stewart is going to lead his first laps of the race today. If I would have known that, I would have just taken tires. I mean, like I said, if we catch a caution, I'll pit. they're not going to make it the rest of the way on fuel, so we'll cycle back to the lead. I was just really hoping that he wasn't going to lead. I did do... Oh, half a can? No, I wouldn't make it to the end if I took a half a can. Half a tank, which was one can, that's as much as I would have gotten away with. Left front's cooking now. Denny Hamlin, I don't know why he's upset with me. Don't hit me, Denny. All right, we're good. We're cool, we're cool. Well, Stewart and Busch are right there. Man, why couldn't Kyle Busch be in front of me? We'll probably catch them before they pit. Still going to make our margin of victory slightly wider. Half a can would only be about 20 laps, considering I was only able to go 80. That last run I went 83, but still right around 20 for a half a can. So right around 40 laps for one can. 37 to go when we cycle off pit road. Pass for second on Busch, and in the same corner going for the lead under Tony Stewart. Boyer will lead this lap at the line. Doesn't matter how many laps Stewart's going to lead because Boyer will have led the most. But Tony Stewart did his job. He fought himself up to second just in time to lead laps during green flag pit stops. Boyer's back out in front now. Kyle Busch is going for second, back underneath Tony Stewart. He's got it. Let's go, Busch. I want Tony to finish second. That's 5-point difference between positions in the top five. So he finishes third versus second. That's 5 more points for us. Kind of mitigates the bonus points he would have just had then. If he would have finished second without laps led. Well, the good news is we're back in the lead, so if we do catch a caution, at least we'd be pitting from first for the fresher tires as well. I do like the strategy. I did what I could. It was really out of my control, in hindsight, as to whether he was going to lead a lap or not, just because he had gotten a second anyway. Sadler had it for a while, but he just stayed out of the pits so long that first run. Plus, this way, it guarantees that we're going to finish ahead of him. He's cycling out in front of him. Use Harvick to get through the... Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I keep telling you, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing those 2024 Chevy blocking games. I'll have the championship clinching scenarios for us at the end of the stream as well for tomorrow once we find out exactly how big our points lead is after this race is over. 27.425, fastest lap of the race. 25 laps left this time by. All right. Well, it's good to know that we made it through this race without much carnage. None of it at all by way of caution, but did have that one little scare when the car on the inside blew an engine when we were in lap traffic and somebody checked up right in front of us and we ran into him. Luckily, we didn't really have much damage. That guy just bounced off the curb and about wiped out. Let's get by him. It's just like door action. Got somebody on pit road, so it looks like pit stops are starting. Final time for some of these drivers. Quite a few more coming in. Plus, too, if Elliott Sadler makes it on fuel, that's another spot higher than Tony Stewart will finish. So, hopefully, Stewart doesn't cycle back around Kyle Busch also. I'm hoping. Stinks Busch did get by Tony Stewart just a few laps a little too late for me. 20 to go this time. It's a huge line of lap cars. Gonna get out just in front of all of them. Thank you very much. I was wondering if he was gonna block me all the way down there. Sure enough, he did. I was wondering if that 184 car was going to get up to speed before we got to him. He did for the most part, and then he got out of the way to the outside, too. So thank you very much for that. Right rear starting to go away on us a little bit, too. 18 to go. 11.7 second lead. That's probably over Sadler. I'd imagine Stewart and Busch have both pit. $12 seconds. That was tight. It did a great job holding that thing down on the curb. He's probably going to try to squeeze us. Yep.
42.
At least I know to expect it. I figured as much as he was blocking me down the front straightaway, he was going to probably try to side draft us and more than that in the dog leg, and that's exactly what he did. All right, so Elliott Sadler has pit already, too. And I know that because we have a one-lap lead on the field now, which again is because we did take fuel only. So if a caution were to come out, whoever's in second would get the free pass to get back on the lead lap. I would definitely come down to pit road and take tires just in case. I wouldn't lose the lead, so might as well. And at least second place right behind us at that point would be on older tires more than likely. Although he could pit to take fresher tires too, which might as well because you're not going to lose any spots. You just guaranteed be in second still, and I'd be in first. That would give me the best shot to win if we were to get a caution late. 11 to go. It's 2 days in a row we've lapped the field. New Hampshire in the modifieds yesterday. Busch Series of Phoenix today. Only this was on pit strategy, but still. We had raw speed, obviously, in this one. We clearly led the most laps. Probably going to lead all but about 20, 25 laps, right around there. Greg Biffle getting in our way now. Checking up for a car coming out of the pits. It's that 187 car did earlier with the guy that was blowing up on the bottom of the track. Now we're 3 wide. 9 to go. I'm into 1 and 2. That was a little tight. Clear, all clear. At least one more lap car. Get underneath the 135. Backstretch. Oh, that time I did get a little loose off the curb. Stuck it enough. Cleared him in 3 and 4. 5 laps to go. Frozen pizza for dinner. Actually had some burritos before I came up to stream. If I eat anything else the rest of the night, I'll probably just end up snacking on something. Snacking and watching football. Another tight fantasy matchup for me. Both leagues, really. Both leagues are going to be really close. Frozen, they were frozen. They were not homemade. They were pre-bought. Good old Gordon Foods. 2 to go. Plus, too, if we did catch a caution on this lap and went past scheduled distance, I don't know that we'd have enough fuel, so we definitely have to pit for that. But like I said already, I would have pitted anyway in this circumstance. I mean, it worked out with a caution exactly how I would have expected it to go. We still would have been in at least a race-winning spot, and under the circumstance that we go green to the finish, we were going to win either way, and that's going to be the case here. It's going to be our 4th caution-free race of the season. Our first in quite some time. Clint Boyer from the pole, going to dominate, do his job as best as he could have done here today at Phoenix. Tony Stewart going to do his job well as he is going to end up probably getting to top 5. He led some laps. Do our old victory burnout here, then we'll check out the finishing results, and we'll see what the points lead is going into the championship at Homestead tomorrow night. I'm so glad Phoenix is one of the last races on this season. It's nice to know that I have one of my top 3 tracks on this game. Way better than we ran in the spring. The spring race, we only led 46 laps with a win, but this one was well more dominant. 3rd place finish for Tony Stewart with 5 bonus points, so Kyle Busch did finish 2nd ahead of him despite not leading any laps. 179 of 200 laps led for Clint Boyer today. Kyle Busch finished 2nd, as I mentioned. Tony Stewart started 2nd, led 5 laps, finished 3rd. Aaron Crocker in 4th. 1 lap lead for the margin of victory on this one over everybody here. Elliott Sadler in 5th, Kenny Wallace 6th, M. Irvin in 7th, Martin Truex Jr. 8th, Ryan Newman 9th, and J.J. Yaley ended up 10th. Everybody from 7th on back at least 2 laps down. 2 laps down for our teammate Kevin Harvick, who finished in 15th, as well as our teammate Jeff Burton, who finished 19th. 1 hour, 33 minutes, 49 seconds total time in this race. Very quick with it going caution-free. 127.89 mile per hour average race speed. Just 8 lead changes. No cautions. And again, all those lead changes were during green flag pit stops. Barney Lamar, D. Adams, Ace Siegel, all DNF'd in this one here today. Just 3 engine failures. And the Arizona... I'm going to pull up the points format on my phone here real quick. That way I have it at the ready to see who is going to win this championship. .40 lead. So we put up 20 points on him at Texas. We're going to put up 20 points on him again here tonight at Phoenix. 40-point lead after winning back-to-back races. 19 total on the season. All right, so if he leads the most laps, wins the race, that will be 190. And we do have the tiebreaker, so to finish within that many points of him, it looks like 6th place. We have to finish 6th or better tomorrow to win the championship. So, we have the points lead, and we control our own destiny, but we're still going to have a good night. We don't have to win, but 6th or better is going to win the title. If we do lead at least 1 lap, then 5th or better will win the championship. If we end up leading the most laps, 4th or better will win it. So that's basically what we have to go off of. So, oh, sorry, I went the wrong way. It's 6th or better if I don't lead any laps. So 6th or better to win the championship tomorrow. If I lead at least 1 lap, then we would finish 7th or better to win the championship. 8th or better to win the championship if I lead the most laps. I went the wrong way on that. Might have been confusing. So 6th or better. No laps led. 7th or better. Leading at least 1 lap. Lead the most laps. 8th or better is where we have to finish to win the championship if Tony Stewart wins the race. And he's won 2 of them. And both of them in the leader going into the season. He just won 2 races ago at Old Spice before we've won the last 2. So never know. And he won in California on an intermediate track also. Obviously, he finished 2nd tonight, so it's just one of those things where it's like, if I am not up there leading laps, it's pretty much him. We'll have fun tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you for that championship Busch Series. Have a good rest of your Monday night, everybody. And enjoy. See you again in less than 24 hours.